segue into our first topic, Josh. I haven't started yet, but I am going to be starting Days Gone.
I didn't actually expect you to say that at all.
It's true. I'm going to be starting Days Gone, and it's because of your video. So let's wrap
Wow.
this segment up and let's move right on. So, for those of you that haven't seen it yet, we just released our first long form docu-style scripted video. It's called Days Gone, PlayStation's Not So Hidden Gem, and it was created not by me at all. It was created by Josh, my friend who's sitting right here next to us. He did a great job, and I loved it. And if you haven't seen it, you should pause now and you should go watch that instead. I'm really proud of him for it. I'm really proud of the channel, and I hope a lot of people watch it and check it out. So, what I wanted to do today is, Josh, I wanted to talk to you about the video, and I wanted to kind of go behind the scenes a little bit and tell you some of the things that I especially really liked about the video, and just go from there. We'll have a little discussion about it. So, in our notes, I
All right.
wrote, I'm going to interview you, but really, I'm just going to ask you questions and tell you what I liked a lot about the video.
Okay.
So, how did it come to be? How did this whole thing start? What made you want to, number one, play Days Gone? And you kind of touched on that in the video, but like, what made you actually like finally pop it in and pop it on actually and
Yeah.
try it?
I mean, honestly, it was really just the fact that it was on the PlayStation Plus collection for free. I had a PS5. I watched a Digital Foundry video actually where they talked about the game and how it's much better. Like it was running at 60 FPS locked, 4K, dynamic 4K, checkerboarded, and they were like, it's like perfect, it's beautiful, like this is the best way to play the game. And I was watching their video, I was like, wow, this actually looks great. But I never played it because I was uninterested, which I talked about in the beginning of the video about zombies, and also just got shit on with reviews basically. And I was like, you know what, screw it, it's like one of the few PlayStation first party exclusives that I haven't played, let me check it out. Started it, loved it. I was like, wow, this is actually a lot of fun, it looks incredible, it runs great. And the rest is history. So
All right. Another question for you, Josh. How how did you I don't know how to phrase this. Basically, Josh, you created a 30-minute documentary style video about a zombie
mhm.
game, and you only showed about 10 seconds of footage of zombies, if that. Did you realize
Yeah.
that? Was that intentional?
Yes,
Okay.
because
Because
some of the go ahead.
I was going to say that's actually one of the things I noticed. I've watched the video, different versions of the video as it's been being created. And the one thing I kept noticing, and I didn't want to mention it to you because I didn't want you to change it otherwise, and I don't know if it was intentional or not. But to me, it was so effective in the fact that you made this video that was about the criticism a game got because it was too much like all the other games that had already come out, a zombie game, right? And you
Mhm.
crafted a 30-minute video with gameplay throughout and used barely any footage of the zombie aspect, which is what was heavily criticized from the beginning.
Mhm. So I guess it's of two minds. One, as I was editing it, it was pretty intentional because there was a whole another section that was actually ended up being scrapped from the video about gameplay, right? And just the gameplay and just fighting the zombies. And I ended up cutting it because it was so similar to a lot of the other things in it. But as I was editing those parts, I was you're right. I was like, I don't really want to show a lot because some of those fights with the hordes and some of the other kind of unique things they do with zombies throughout the world are some of the most intense parts of the game. And I didn't spoil anything in the game, by the way, in that
I was
video.
going to
None of the
mention that
footage was
next.
wow. It was a large crash outside. There was no uh, there was
Spoilers.
no spoilers in any of the footage. I didn't mention any spoilers. Everything I did was talked about or released in footage prior to the game or was in reviews.
Yep.
But I also, all of the footage that is in the video was captured by me. And as I started editing that, I went back and realized I was like, I don't want to show any zombie footage, but I don't really have any, right? Which means that that is not what stuck out most in the game
Yep.
to me when I played it. It was the story and the narrative, which is why I ended up just kind of picking those parts to focus on in the video. So it's kind of twofold. I didn't want to spoil any of the large kind of encounters that are some of the more serious parts and interesting parts of the game, especially some specific locations. But also that this zombie game that got shit on for being another zombie game, the zombies are actually like one of the least interesting parts about the game. The reveal about how they came to be is directly tied to the central plot, but it has more to do with character rather than the zombies itself, right? Where a lot of zombie content is like it's about the zombies, right? And the people in those situations. But this, it's about the people in those situations because of the zombies, and it's like thematically tied to the central narrative, which is pretty unique. And I had a whole section on that in the video that I scrapped. But yeah.
Gotcha. The whole thing about not spoiling it was going to be another one of my points because, again, you did a great job of not spoiling anything for someone that was watching your video, not knowing anything about Days Gone. And then, at the end of the game, you basically say, I encourage you to go play it yourself and, decide for yourself what you think. And the fact you didn't spoil anything throughout, really lent itself to that. So kudos to you. Another thing I wanted to talk about was there was a whole section of reviews that was cut, basically where
Yes.
we delved into different reviews of different journalists that went and reviewed the game. It was cut. I want to talk about that a little bit. This is our chance to kind of informally discuss some of the memes and the inconsistencies of the reviewers, if you would like to. I know you don't have it open probably, but just off the cuff,
No, but
yeah, just go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, go ahead and just describe some of those reviews.
So I cut it, which I did briefly mention in the video, but I cut it because like literally when I was like not even writing it, and like when I was recording it, like I was getting angry and like my levels were going all over the place, and I was listening back to it. I was like, I don't want to listen to this. If I was listening to this, I would shit on myself for being so abysmal about it, basically. And at the end of the day, like they are just opinions. Now, there are reasons behind why I think those opinions are misinformed, mainly the fact that I don't think a lot of reviewers actually finished the game. But then I was like, I just got done this whole section talking about these like great supporting characters, and specifically Iron Mike, and like he is the best character in the game. Like he is better than Deacon, he's better than Sarah. Like he's literally the best character in the game. He's also one of the characters that's in the game the least amount. But he's super impactful when he's in there, and I was like, I don't want to put this in the video. But anyway, the hypocrisy that is behind reviewers, which most people just reading a review might not realize, is astounding. Like, one review that I teared up in the video a lot was VGC, Video Game Chronicle. I think Edwin Evans Thurwell was the writer of that. He gave this game a 1.5 out of 5, but he gave, like, Cyberpunk a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Like a game that just like is broken and doesn't, and then that might have something to do with the platform. But the other one, not the IGN review, but the Slant review, he gave this game a 2 or something like that, and he gave
Anthem.
What's Anthem like a 3 or something like that. And I'm like, is it the day? Like, what is it? And the thing that really stuck out to me about the Slant and the VGC review, which I also mentioned in the video, is that they don't talk about supporting characters at all. Yeah. Not once. I couldn't believe it. And they're not the only two. There was a lot of other ones that you researched, which shout out to you, by the way, because most of my research and all of the articles that I covered came from you posting them and like digging into them. The only review that I saw out of those that mentioned supporting characters was the IGN review. Like, I was like bewildered by that. I was like, how little of this game did you actually play?
Yeah, and again,
that's the case.
And again, just to show that a lot of the footage you used, if not all of the footage you used, was Deacon interacting with all of these supporting characters. Not knowing much about the game, I don't know how big of a part they all played into the narrative or whatever, or how good they were as characters. But you kind of backed up all of your claims with the footage that you used. Is what I'm getting at. So,
yeah. So it's. Don't just read the reviews, read into the reviewers themselves, because you need to know where they're coming from. And the other thing, which I was really tempted to include but I didn't, was one of the reviewers, right? So this game takes place in Oregon, right? Kind of the Midwest, West Coast of the United States. One of the reviewers, you go to his profile on the site that he wrote for, I won't mention his name, he says something like along the lines of like, against my will, living in the Midwest. and I was like, there's so much in your review that is like tearing up this game about things that like are not even points in the game, and I think they're just related to the fact that you are living somewhere where you don't want to live.
That's
Like,
interesting.
there's a lot of things like that where I'm like, there's a reason that they're written in a certain way, which is fine. I mean, everybody has their kind of lens that they look through things, but it's just funny how much hypocrisy and honestly just bullshit is out there with reviewers. It's such a cancerous form of media, in my opinion, and really skews a lot of things' success based off of it.
Yeah.
And it just it gave me a new appreciation, or I guess anti-appreciation for how much stock people put in reviews, which everybody's guilty of. You can look it up, be like, oh, this got good reviews, I want to watch it or play it. This didn't. But you got to really kind of look under the hood with some of that stuff. So
Yeah. No, for sure. And I think, one of the things that would be great is if Metacritic was a good, place to look to, kind of like everyone looks at like Rotten Tomatoes or whatever as like the main thing for film. We don't look at that. We look at like Letterboxd scores, which is like a user based system. I wish Metacritic was a better place for gamers to go, but the problem is gamers abuse Metacritic all the time and will, sink a game score just because they don't like something about it or whatever. So I wish that we had a thing like, Letterboxd, like GG or something.
yeah. Right.
Metacritic is just way too easy to abuse. But yeah, I agree 100%. This game got, quite honestly, fucked by reviews. It didn't even stand a chance. It seemed like it was dead on arrival, all because of the reviewers and the reviews that were put out about the game. So yeah, I really don't have any other questions or any other points I want to bring up. I just want to say great job. And, I hope a lot of people check it out and a lot of people watch it. So good job.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Josh and Brett really need you too. I love them. So do it. It would be a shame if you miss more of their videos. Hit the notification bell too, so you know when there is a new upload.